Okay, so the next instalment in my series here, we're talking about bands. So if you followed, all my other steps, 1, 2, and 3 videos, yeah, it's all about getting, preparation and getting the license and things like that. So if you're up to this stage of this video, I'm gathering now you've passed your license, you've got your foundation, or maybe even higher, you've maybe got intermediate or full. So this video here is basically the next video on from that, and we're talking about bands and which to operate on, which I'd recommend operating on. There's many bands out there, but this is my list of like the most common that I hear on the radio anyway. A lot of people talking about all of these different bands all the time. And so here's just my list of common bands that you may be interested in, being a new license holder. Or maybe you're not even new, maybe you're just trying to explore the options of different bands. Maybe this video is for you in that way. So yeah, here's my list of most common bands that I'd recommend trying, especially if you're a new licensed operator like myself. So here goes. Okay, first up is the 2-meter band. To me, this is the most common band that you'll find on for licensed radio operators. It's 2 meters, which is 144 megahertz to 148 megahertz, and this is a 2 meter and 70 centimeter radio. Sorry, and I find that 2 meters is the most common band out there for licensed operators. Why is it the most common? Well, look on repeaters, radio repeaters map. You'll see that most radio repeaters in the UK are either 2 meter or 70 centimeter band repeaters, and it's just a brilliant band to get coverage. If you don't know what a repeater is, it's a big radio tower. If you're within radio range of it, you send your signal to that repeater, and that repeater basically sends it back out, broadcasts it back out, further, and usually with more power as well. So you can cover a great distance just on very little power because of repeaters. But it's also good for simplex as well. Simplex meaning no repeater, you're just on a frequency. The calling frequency for 2 meter band FM is 145.500, and you always find someone to talk to day and night on a 2 meter band. And also it allows for all-star node access. If you don't know what an all-star node is, you can build or buy a little box, probably no bigger than the size of this little radio actually, and it's just got a little antenna on the back of it, and all you do is you get one of your little radios, you connect this to your little node, and your node operates basically on the internet. So you're sending your radio signal from your little handheld, 5 watts or 1 watt or whatever, to the box, and that'll send it over the internet to that repeater that you connect to, and then it transmits it back out. So you can reach probably 90% of the UK just a couple of watts on a little walkie-talkie while you're sat in a little shed shack. I do like the idea of an all-star node. I would like to build one and try one. I haven't yet because I personally feel radio it should be radio waves, not internet, But I can connect to the GB3PI repeater from here. I get it very well for my location, and I'd probably say that's one of the most popular repeaters in the UK, and you can get some hefty distance on it. And I also often connect PI repeater to another repeater as well, so you get even more coverage. As I say, the 2 meter band is probably the most common in my eyes, and probably the easiest to get a QSO with, QSO contact. So yeah, 2 meter band would have to be top of my list for this one. Okay, and the next one, it goes hand in hand, the 70 centimeter band, which is 420 megahertz to 450 megahertz. And again, this radio is a 2 meter and 70 centimeter band radio. I find the 70 centimeter band is very similar to the 2 meter band. In a sense, there's plenty of repeaters out there, loads of repeaters out there. There's not quite as many as the 2 meter band, I don't think, but there's still plenty out there. And yeah, I find it very similar to operate on as a 2 meter band. It's very easy to get a contact, a QSO. The only difference is the 70 centimeter band is 420 megahertz, and the 2 meter band is 144. If you know anything about radio signals, the lower the frequency tends to, I mean, I'll put it in brackets here, it does tend to travel better. So you do find 2 meter bands a bit more populated again because it's a lower frequency, but still 70 centimeter band is very common as well, and there's still loads of repeaters out there. I can connect this little radio here, can connect to loads of repeaters, 70 centimeter repeaters around not far, from my QTH here, my location. And the two bands, like I say, do go hand in hand, because if you buy a radio transceiver like this, even this little mobile one, they always marketed as dual band, which is usually 2 meters and 70 centimeter band radios. It does both of them the same basically, and so yeah, that's another one I'd recommend. Second on my list, 70 centimeter band. Okay, third on my list would probably have to be the 4 meter band, which is 70 megahertz to 70.5 megahertz. So it's a very small block, but it's known as the friendly band. It's not quite as populated as bands like 2 meters and 70 centimeters. It's usually very small amount of people on there, but again, there are 4 meter repeaters available. I can actually connect to one that's probably about 30 miles from my location here, but I can connect to it fine. I haven't got a 4 meter radio just yet. That is next on my list. But my little handheld here does connect to 4 meters, and I've got a 4 meter antenna, so I can access the repeater just on my little handheld at 10 watts. Like I said, it's known as a friendly band simply because there's not that many people on there. It's not overly populated as much. So when people do get a QSO, a conversation, a chat from someone, especially someone new, they tend to be more kind of grateful, more friendly about it, because new people are quite hard to come by on that band. So they do tend to be a lot more friendlier, a lot more politer, but still a fantastic band. Being as it's 70 megahertz bands, it travels very well, especially on simplex as well. Yeah, that's the band that I'm wanting to try next. And so I try a little bit with this little walkie-talkie here. I've got the 4 meter bands programmed into it, and I can access the repeater, but I haven't really done much with it, honestly. I haven't properly used the band yet, and tried getting any QSOs yet. I've mainly just programmed in the repeater and put my 4 meter antenna up in the air, and just to see if I can activate the repeater, if I'm in range of the repeater. And sure enough, I do. Yeah, just about. But yeah, that's 4 meter band, or the friendly band as they call it. That's definitely one that you hear people talking about a heck of a lot over the radio, and they do hold quite a lot of nets. If you don't know what nets are, it's a group of people, social media before social media existed. It's a group of people that you take turns talking and what have you. They do hold nets on the 4-meter band, especially on on the repeaters. So it's a band I'd recommend trying, and it's a band that I'm looking forward to trying. So yeah, 4-meter band. Okay, the next one is a bit controversial. It's a 6-meter band. It's called the Magic Band, and the reason why it's called the Magic Band is because it's either there or it isn't. The 6-meter band, if you didn't know, it operates between 50 megahertz and 52. So again, another band that's quite a small block of allocation, but it's an all mode band, AM, FM, sideband, CW. You do get a lot of different types of activity on it. You get FT8, Morse, and you obviously get voice, FM voice, upper sideband. Upper sideband's probably the most common. You don't see much on the lower sideband. I don't really know why, and well, it's kind of handy really, because my little 6-meter radio here, it's got upper and lower sideband, but the lower sideband's not active. It needs a special board put in there, which I haven't got. But yeah, it's called the Magic Band. It relies very, very, very heavily on propagation. Skip, as the CBers call it, sporadic key. You could be listening to this radio. You can have it on for a whole week, and you'll hear absolutely nothing at all but static. Like now, this is the FM calling frequency, 51.510. You can have it on all week and hear absolutely nothing but static. But then one day you'll flick it on and you'll hear everything, absolutely everything, all over the world, DXing, and even on a very small antenna and not much power. I mean, this little radio is a 10-watt radio, and when the band is open, as they say, when there's propagation, when it's open. I can get out very, very well on 10 watts with a little antenna in the garden. You can use vertical antenna or horizontal. I use a vertical, which is not the best. I definitely do want to build a horizontal antenna for the future for 6 meters. But you can work it on a vertical antenna. But because the band is called the Magic Band for that reason, it's either open or it's not. Getting a QSO on it is quite a lot harder. You can't just turn it on and talk and you're guaranteed to get a contact. It doesn't work like that. A lot of people actually call it the tragic band, because they go out and spend all this money on a radio and antenna and whatever, and they get nothing. It's gone. There's actually set months of the year, but it actually tends to be a lot more active. In the summertime, whatever, when the sun's up, sun maximum. But other times of the year, you turn it on and you'll hear absolutely nothing whatsoever. So yeah, a lot of people call it a tragic band because they spend all that money and get nowhere. But that's the thing though, because it's really hard to make a QSO, talk to someone on it. It's extremely rewarding when you do. If you have your radio on all week and hear nothing, and suddenly, bam, it's open, and it's people everywhere. Every bit of frequency you talk, you scroll along to, there's someone there. There's someone to talk to. It's very good for DX and long distance, like I say, on a small antenna as well. Where you don't need much power at all to get out when you've got the propagation there. But no, I haven't had the best luck on it, and a lot of people say to avoid the 6 meter band simply because they want to turn the radio on and just talk to people. it doesn't work like that on 6 meter band. It really doesn't. In fact, when I first bought this radio, this is a vintage. This is a vintage Trio radio. This is a Kenwood brand back way before they named themselves Kenwood. I think it was back in 1985. They changed their name from Trio to Kenwood. This is Trio, so this is before 1985. And when I first got this, I had this on for about a week. Nothing, absolutely nothing at all. And I honestly thought my radio was faulty, or there was something wrong with my antenna, or my feeder, you know, my coax. But there is actually a 6 meter repeater, probably about 40 miles from me, 40 miles. I can't access the repeater because you need a radio that has CT/CSS tones. This obviously old radio doesn't. I need a 77 Hertz CT/CSS tone to activate the repeater. This doesn't have. You can get boards to put inside the radio to give it that the CT/CSS tones, but I haven't. I honestly don't know how to wire them in, and I don't want to be messing around inside that. You know, it's a vintage radio. But if I do leave it on the frequency for the repeater, every 15 minutes or so I do hear the repeater spelling out his name, GB3PX. So my radio is receiving fine, and my antenna is obviously fine, and that's 40 odd miles away. I hear that, but yeah, you can't just turn it on and expect a conversation, unfortunately. Would be nice if it was a bit more active than what it is, but it's not. So whatever way you look at it, the Magic Band or the Tragic Band, I wouldn't recommend investing a lot of money into a 6 meter band, because like I say, it's not an all year round band that you can operate, unfortunately. But I only picked this up because I got a super amazing deal that I just could not turn down. And you know, for a vintage radio, and these radios were highly wanted back in the day, but people couldn't get them, just couldn't get them. It was highly sought after radio, these were, and I got offered it at a ridiculous price, ridiculously cheap price. So I was like, yep, cool, here's the money, send it to me. But yeah, I enjoy having my little radio, even if it's not much use to me at certain months. But it's coming up summer now, so hopefully I'll get a few more contacts on it. So yeah, that's the 6 meter band. Okay, next one is the 40 meter band, which is 7 megahertz to 7.2, so 7,000 kilohertz to 7,200 kilohertz. It's a band that it's extremely common for DXing. DXing means long distance contacting. It's actually extremely easy as well to listen to the 40 meter band. This little radio here, this little shortwave radio, this is £20. It's called an ATS 20 Plus. This can listen to the 40 meter band, and I often do actually. I sit there in the evening having this on and listen to it. The 40 meter band is an all mode band, you know, AM, FM, sideband, CW. I find it's most popular on lower sideband. Don't know why, it just is, but you'll hear a lot of FT8 on there, a lot of Morse, a lot of voice, and and because it's a low frequency, again, you know, your signal gets out and obviously comes in, hence why you can listen to it on that. I have that, and all I have is a 25 meter long, just a copper wire stapled up the top of my fence, going down the garden, length of my garden, and I can hear the 7 meter band, 7 megahertz 40 meter band on that. Fine, absolutely fine. You hear a lot of competitions on this band. It's extremely, I don't know why, but it's extremely common for Italians as well. You always hear Italy coming in. Don't know, maybe it's more common in Italy. But no, it's a great band. Extremely easy to make a contact on. Yeah, you know, being HF, radio waves travel very far. You get great skip, great propagation to really help, and yeah, you can reach other countries extremely easily on you know, 25 watts. If you're a foundation license holder like me, you have 25 watts of power, you know, legal limit. If you have a good antenna, if you have a nice inverted V antenna in your garden, yeah, they take up a heck of a lot of space, but you can work a lot of countries in a long distance on 25 watts on a 40-meter band. Good band, brilliant band, very common band. Like I say, I listen to it on this, just with a copper wire stapled down the top of my fence. So, and yeah, awesome band. I'll definitely recommend trying it out. Okay, finally on my list is a 10-meter band, which is 28 megahertz to 29.7 megahertz. This is all mode as well, AM, FM and sideband. I usually find it most common on upper sideband. I find this is a 10-meter and 11-meter radio, so this does 10-meter ham band and then 11-meter, which is CB, UK CB, so this does both. I find the 10-meter bands quite similar to the 11-meter band, you know, the CB band. Relies heavily on propagation. Propagation is very easy to come by. It happens quite often. To me, it's just the way I call it personally. This is my opinion, of course. The 28-meter band, 28 megahertz, the 10-meter band, is basically just CB but with 25 watts. That's personally what I call it. Because obviously, you know, CB, you only allowed 4 watts. With or without a license, you still only allowed 4 watts. And that's 27 megahertz. This is 28 megahertz. So not much far up the spectrum. But you're allowed 25 watts PEP, you know, for the back of your radio, for the 10-meter band. You can make great contacts, just as well as you do on CB with propagation. You know what it's like on CB when you're flicking through and you hear other countries. You've got skip, as the CB call it, propagation, skip, same thing. It's the same on 10-meter band, 28 megahertz, just with a license, and you have 25 watts at your disposal. You know, if you're a foundation, yeah, it's great for a vertical antenna. Heck, I use 10-meter band on my CB silver rod. It's slightly out of tune, so my SWR is a little bit higher on the 10-meter band, but I can live with that. On the 11-meter band CB, when I'm talking on CB, my SWR is 1-to-1 perfect. It's the SWR meter on the screen doesn't even move. But when I then flick across to 10-meter band, 28 megahertz, it goes up to about 1.5, 1.6 SWR. Because you know, the higher up the frequencies you go, the shorter your antenna has to be. And obviously it's set for 27 megahertz CB. So it needs to be a tiny bit shorter, a few inches shorter, to be perfect for 10-meter band, 28 megahertz. But I don't bother. I leave it at 1.5, 1.6. It's fine. Yeah, I can adjust my power on this radio as well. So what I do, I find an empty frequency and I put it on FM so I can see my power frequency, you know, my power output. And I'll key up and I'll hold it and I'll turn my power up until I get to about 25 watts. I usually sit at 20 because this is a radio that goes 10, 20, 30. So I usually put it at about 20 and then I unkey and then I can go to sideband where the action is. And so then I know I'm in legal limit. That's the way I do it. So yeah, to me, it's just CB with more power. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. But yeah, that's the 10-meter band, guys. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty more bands out there. There's loads more bands out there you can operate. You have a band plan on your EX307 document for your foundation and well, as well as your intermediate and full. You have a band plan there showing all your frequencies you could operate on and at what power. Oh, excuse me. But these I find are absolutely the most common bands that people operate on with a license. So take it as you will, guys. These are, you know, my opinions, of course. Everybody has their own opinions, don't they? But these are what I'd personally recommend trying out if you're new to it. And if not, you know, if you've had your license a while and you haven't tried them yet, I'd recommend trying them. 100%, definitely. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and 7 threes.